Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas. Up next time for the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima here on 92.3 The Fan.
Who would you think the Browns would choose to play first, Deshaun or Shedeur?
Deshaun, I think. The players know who the best players are. The players know who's going to give them the best shot to win. And with Deshaun's experience and everything else, if he is truly healthy, right, like if he is ready to go, I have a hard time seeing a scenario where he wouldn't get out there to practice and it wouldn't become like relatively obvious.
Listen for the MMQB's Albert Breer, Tuesdays at 5:20 on Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan. The Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima.
Sam Merrill uncorks a three that's rebounded by Jakob Poeltl. Raptors says Barnes, he's inside. He spilled Merrill, and then Scotty Barnes has given the Raptors this 108-95 edge. The next Cavalier foul will put the Cavs over the limit as they try to scratch and claw their way back. Barrett backdoor. Your final here tonight. Raptors 126, Cavaliers 113.
Here we go.
Kenny, what are your overall takeaways from this one?
We didn't have it. We didn't have it. They were great. They kind of flew by us. Quicker to every loose ball. They were racing by us in transition, beat us to every rebound. I'm exaggerating, of course, but it was like their energy level was here and we were down here. And I wish we were mentally stronger. Sometimes you gotta fight through the schedule, fatigue, all that. Obviously, our main guys, they just didn't have the juice tonight.
This is Cleveland's Sports Radio, 92.3 The Fan.
Audio courtesy of FanDuel. So you can take it one or two ways yet from last night. You can be either really mad. Kenny sounded apoplectic, as you just heard. Kenny Atkinson, the head coach of your Cleveland Cavaliers. You take it one or two ways. Kenny was apoplectic. Donovan he was definitely disappointed, but I thought that he gave some great perspective on things of last night's game. Last night's game was garbage. You got out-rebounded. You got out-hustled. Watch the whole thing, Tone, so you can't go after me on that. Again, the stuff on the paint, it's upsetting. Evan Mobley was not good. Got beat up a lot inside.
It's one of the worst games I've ever seen him play.
Yeah, they were bad. They were just bad. They were slow. And I thought and sometimes, in some of the stuff, it's just like, lazy isn't the word, but it's like, you're not thinking. Like I started, and you knew exactly the situation I was talking about. They came down the floor, tried for a quick runner, bounced back, got a rebound, kicked it out to Dean Wade. He was sitting there, took a step back, chucked the three rims out, and then in transition, whoever tried to close out on him, I wish I could give you a name. Whoever tried to close out on him just kept going, and Wade just stands there, like it was almost like a shoot around. And then he realizes, oh bleep, I got to get down here on defense. And he starts trying to run after it. And then he's just down there by himself, flailing his arms, trying to get in anybody's way as they hit a transition three. And it's going like this is not good. And I hung around. They got it down to 9. You got the 15. I saw the people starting to leave the building. And I go, yeah, this. Frankly, I thought it was the worst of the year.
Yeah.
Yesterday.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
So we're all clear. I know they've lost to the Raptors before.
And no Darius, no Max. I
no
Lonzo Ball.
I get that.
But you know what? It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter against that team. And here's, I think, the worst part of it all. You would have thought, if anything, and my focus will be, there's plenty of blame to go around. My focus will be on Evan Mobley because there has been a battle between Toronto and Cleveland ever since Scotty Barnes won Rookie of the Year, and the Cavs fans have totally dunked on, what a ridiculous farce it was that it was Scotty and that Evan has been All NBA last year, second team All NBA, so he's a budding superstar, and then to let Scotty Barnes do that to you last night on both ends was clearly the better player. Evan wasn't even good on defense. Mm-hmm. That was crazy to me. And he basically got punked at home by Scotty. And that's really, really rough, especially after they beat us the first time.
It is terrible. It is just, I mean, it's as bad as it gets.
It was bizarre to me, and I get it. They had the weird vacation, yet 2 games in Miami.
Well, it doesn't matter. You're pros.
It was weird. The scheduling was weird, but it's a home game against Toronto, and you still have Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley. You still have plenty of talent on the floor to win that game, and you didn't. It was basically a wire-to-wire loss.
And I understand it's a game of runs, but man, you're up by 10, and then they go on a 17-3 run, and it's almost like you close the door on yourself. And I just was so down on this loss, and I go, well, tomorrow's going to be a lot of fun, because I know what I said about the first Miami game. I'm like, all right, you're playing 2 in Miami, you're bound to split one of them, hopefully. Then I thought they were just going to lose the second one, but they ended up that was a nice hustle, try hard win. And you're right, there's guys who are out. Darius would have made a difference, I understand that, but man, just the clunkiness, getting beat up inside again. I'm not ready to have the Evan Mobley conversation yet. I'm not ready to do it yet. Because if I have the Evan Mobley conversation, and I might be denying reality here, everybody, that might be very well possible. If I have the Evan Mobley conversation, then I think we have to have a bigger conversation about the organization in general and where this era of basketball is going. Because it's a very good era of basketball, but it feels like the ceiling, it's not glass anymore. It's just they're pouring concrete with every level. With every time that he disappoints you to take that next step as that player, that ceiling gets thicker and thicker and thicker, and it's annoying. It's becoming increasing. It's November 14th. It's increasingly annoying. Like, that's the thing. If he took an asinine amount of shots and it was a bad night, I'd be able to understand. I'm like, you're just disappearing now. You're just.
Honestly, that bad, like, that's a game that Kenny, we've talked a lot about this in the NFL with Stefanski. A game like that where he's putting forth that little effort, and it's so shocking, it's so jarring because it's Evan, who has been such a maestro defensively, and then on offense has kind of had to pick his spots in certain games. They force feed it in other games. He's let the rhythm come to him, man, in that small stretch where they had Darius Garland. It was like, oh, okay, he's in the right role. But that's obviously not the role that we all wanted him this year. We wanted him to make this leap, and we wanted him to become playoff time, a guy that you could get him the ball and let him do unicorn stuff, because that would be unguardable the way that the NBA is and the alignment of the Cavs. But that was a game last night. I would not have blamed Kenny Atkinson if he benched him. I would not have. It was that bad. The effort was that poor.
It's still November, though. So I felt bad about that. But then I got Donovan here. Donovan made me feel a little bit better about it, because Kenny made me feel a lot worse. Then Donovan made me feel a little bit better about it. Here's Donovan Mitchell after the loss.
This regular season, everything started off perfectly. This has been an up and down start to the season. What can you learn from this and build off from this experience?
This is, I hate to sound like a sicko, but this is great, like, to be honest, because last year you started 15-0, blowing teams out. You're never really mentally tested, right? Like, you know what I mean? And I think now we've had, 8-5? Like, in those 13 games, we've had 13 different scenarios, right? We've had blowouts. We've had come from behind wins. We've had given up a lead and still won. We've had, like tonight, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's different things, and you're learning so much. And on top of that, our young guys, and I want to take away from your question 1 second, but, like, our young guys have been phenomenal. Like, that's the thing that's been consistent the entire year. Naquan Tomlin, Craig Porter, Tyrese Proctor, Jalen Tyson have been phenomenal. I don't think you see that if we go 15-0, right? Like, you know, I don't think you see that. So when we come to the playoffs, they know, you know, the moments. We don't get that if we just go perfect. You know, you go through all these things, and there were times in Utah we were 19-30 and then made the playoffs, right? So, like, the sky's not falling. These are great tests for us and great battles, and we're not worried as a group. We have things to fix. Don't get it twisted, but this is a good place and a good thing for us to learn.
So I heard that this morning, and I went, oh, did Donovan make you feel better?
Not entirely.
Damn it.
Oklahoma City's got a bunch of young guys, and they've had players injured all year, and they have one loss. Like, they've been insane, and they've been getting young guys all sorts of time. It is nice to see some of our young guys play well. They have. He's right. The question with them is, will they be reliable come playoff time in the minutes that they'll be afforded if the rest of the team is healthy? But that's a whole nother thing. Guys, they have played all JV conference games so far this year. They should have mopped up, even without Darius Garland. They should have, if we all think Evan and Donovan and DeAndre Hunter are as talented as we think they are, and we talk about how, we're one of the deepest Cavs teams ever, and look at the talent up, and who is gonna battle with them in the Eastern Conference? Guys, they have played all the JV conference so far, and they're 8-5, and quite frankly, Donovan has bailed them out. I mean, they should be 500 or below if Donovan would not have bailed them out in some of the games that he did this year.
I don't think you're wrong on that. I agree with you on that. However, I think that we've lied about their depth in the past. I think that this is a true test of their depth. I think we've been beaten by deeper teams, tougher teams, teams that have been battle tested because and they've had to play different guys and had to fill roles. I think that's happened against New York, and I think that's happened against Indiana. So I see where Donovan is coming from on, hey, it can't just be the front five, and even in the starting five, I think that there's a couple of issues there. Obviously, we get into the toughness conversation many times over. But yes, you're going to have your depth. I think he's right about that. Donovan is a fantastic communicator.
Yes.
Kenny is upset.
He sounds like a coach.
And I think in so many ways, I'm kind of wondering here if this is part of this is me trying to keep a sunny disposition. They have not been great to start out this year. Again, as Lima said, 8-5, and they very well could be or even should be if Donovan didn't decide to bail them out under 500. You are right. I don't disagree with you. But I think that this could be not by design. You're not losing by design, but the messaging. This is like twice or three times now in the first 13 games where Kenny has been pretty on him, pretty tough on him, and Donovan's kind of been different. And I think in years past, I think last year Kenny was very nice. I think Donovan was pretty tough on things. I think that if you get Donovan, who has been now who knows? Donovan might be screaming at him behind the scenes, and we don't even know. I think we'd find out. The NBA talks more than any other league. But if Donovan's calm until he's not calm, I think that might be a wake-up call if you have to hit the wake-up call button later on. So I can't just blame it on injuries. It's early in the season. It's not been good. The defense has been terrible. I think you could say defensive effort. Effort's one thing. I think even some of the stuff, it's like, man, are you even watching some of the tapes, some of the cuts, some of the things that they're doing, or some of the things that they're not able to guard? It bothers me. It really bothers me. But when I hear Donovan, I go, okay, let's calm down. They're not the Browns right now. I don't want, and when we do this all the time, don't think that we don't let our feelings towards other teams start to shade in how we feel towards other teams. Like the Browns season is bad, and things are really bad, and I got a guy who used to be in charge of the Browns, or who knows how much in charge he used to be, cracking jokes, and we'll get to that coming up here in 5 minutes. As upset as I am about that, I don't want that to push into the Cavs. But I got to try to remain realistic because this whole season is trying to build up towards the postseason. So I think I'm seeing something there. But no, there are some things there that just need to be flat out cleaned up. Defensively, it needs to be cleaned up. And for Evan, 7 points and 7 attempts. It just and how many minutes? 33? 34? 35 minutes, I think it was. 30. It's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. If you're gonna lose, boy, you gotta be shooting like crazy here.
Well, and the fact you got nothing out of him, and then Jared Allen only played 21 minutes, and something's going on. Clearly, Jared Allen. I know there's the finger thing, but we also saw him go 30 and 10 yesterday. The other night. So yeah. It is a little weird to me that their rotations are so much in flux. Like you could say, all right, Darius fixes a lot of that because Darius is going to naturally get guys involved, make sure to force feed Evan and Jared, with easy opportunities around the basket. Right now, they're getting none of those. Maybe in the smaller minutes that Lonzo is able to provide them off the bench because he's a creative, he's a playmaker for everybody. But it shouldn't be this. It shouldn't look like that at home. Like, that's humiliating. And again, right. To have Scotty Barnes, if anybody watched that game, and that was the only game they've ever seen in the NBA, nobody would think that Evan Mobley is second-team All-NBA, and nobody would think he's even half the player that Scotty Barnes is, and that's a problem.
So you're not okay with this adversity? You're upset about this?
No, I see some problems that I'm worried about whether or not they, especially defensively, because Max and Darius don't fix some of these defensive issues. They just don't.
I want to bring this back later. 216-474-0092. It's packed at the second half of the show today, everybody. Daryl Ryder going to join us at 8:20 this morning. Nathan Zagura, how on earth do we get Dylan Gabriel going against the Baltimore Ravens, or is that just an impossibility? And Jason McCourty, 1/3 of the CBS sports team. They have the game coming up on Sunday. Jason McCourty along with A.J. Ross and Andrew Catalan. How soon would he make the switch to Shedeur Sanders? I want to ask Jason McCourty about that coming up at 9:20. And what did Paul DePodesta actually mean yesterday? Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, take us with you to work on the free Odyssey app. Peter and Company Jewelers in Avon Lake.
Andy Baskin for Choice Cabinets. Did you buy your house in the last 10 years, 15 years, and look at those cabinets and go, oh, what are we doing here? Time to upgrade your cabinets. Choice Cabinets, 60 or 70% off of retail because Choice Cabinet is the manufacturer. ChoiceCabinet.com.
When you want the latest on the Browns, we're the station you turn to first. 92.3 The Fan is Cleveland's home for breaking sports news. Your teams, your station.
Who's ready for some jokes? You ready for some hilarious jokes? Okay, got some jokes for you. Colorado Rockies had a press conference yesterday. They introduced Paul DePodesta, and he says, hey, my own family has Bengals guys on their fantasy team.
My wife Karen, my kids Trevor, Tally, Evan, and Alex, they've been unbelievably supportive, through all these years. They've been great fans. Even when they stacked their fantasy teams with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and other players in the AFC North, it's okay.
Well, you didn't really have a chance to get Jamar Chase, though, so.
No.
Or really Joe Burrow, for that matter. Hey-o. Fun. Stacking players against the guys. Did he have a hand in picking them? I don't know. Anytime you mention, there is a weird gaggle of folks who like to come to his defense. You don't even know. You've made him out to be a boogeyman. I'm like, no, that's the reason. I don't know what he's responsible for, and he's never really been able to explain what he's responsible for. So all I could do was wonder what he was responsible for.
And since
they were losing, and he's chief strategy officer, I imagine that the strategy wasn't very good.
They had the most unique setup in the NFL. That's not just me saying it. That's people that cover the league say this was the most unique setup there was in the league.
Certainly,
and you did not see after 10 years how many teams copied that approach. Normally, it's a copycat league. How many teams around the league were like, you know what, we need to do that too?
Okay.
But again, by the end of it, you heard Albert say. By the end of it, you heard Albert say that he was basically assisting in all sorts of other areas. He was helping with the Milwaukee Bucks stuff, getting that set up. The soccer team.
Okay.
We had already talked about. I told you guys.
The soccer team was good.
Yeah, I told you guys 2 years ago. And I don't even know if it's. It's just laying the groundwork for functionality from top on down, which is not only the on the field stuff, but it's the business stuff. And I told everybody a few years ago, I'm like, he's been making the Haslams a lot of money, so that's why they're going to be forever indebted to him, even with the losing. And that's what's always going to be hard for people to understand here, because we don't care about the business. You don't care about the business. Owen doesn't care about the business. The fans, 537 boys, certainly do not care about the business. The people in the Muni lot do not care about the business.
I do a little bit.
Not. You do?
You always wear your Haslam Sports Group hoodie in.
Yeah, it bothers me that the tickets are down to $6. It bothers me.
But
it's not the fans'
You're right.
fault.
I don't
certainly
care about the Bucks at all, right? Or the crew or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't
and
care about
that's
that.
the stuff that he's talking about.
That's what bothers me. Is that, but that's, again, I don't know how much he has in it. I go, well, do you have this much power over the Browns, and are you focusing your thoughts on other teams? Because I don't care about the Bucks, and I know that there's crew fans who are listening, and no offense, guys, I care about the Browns. Yeah. And I want the Browns to do well. The team that I'm most passionate for, that has been a mess, and he's had a hand in it. And then leave it to him because, again, his whole existence with the Browns has been Rasputin-like. We don't know what he's responsible for. We don't know how much power he actually wields. And I think this crystallized it, where he's asked about the Watson trade, and he makes a joke about play calling, and there were 1,000 different opinions on what he actually meant by that.
In your last position in Cleveland, you received a lot of blame for the Deshaun Watson trade that objectively was a failure with that organization. Is that fair? And if so, how can you be assured that you won't do something like that again here now in Colorado?
The previous question was about big swings, huh?
Risk.
Yeah. I was also calling plays for the Browns, look, and I've said this before, I think whenever you have a significant player decision, whether it's a trade, big free agent signing, number one draft pick, whatever it is, those are organizational decisions. Those are done collaboratively, like a lot of people on board. And if you're a senior leader of that organization at that time, then you own that decision. I mean, you do. We all do. So that's the way I feel about that. And it's the way I feel about almost all the decisions we made there in Cleveland. I absolutely, own them all. And look, I've said this now for probably 25 plus years. Like, I lost my no-hitter a long time ago. Like a long, long time ago. Like, I'm not perfect. I haven't been perfect. I won't be perfect going forward. Like, we are definitely going to miss again. But hopefully we learn from that, and we learn from both the successes and the failures. And, we get better the next time we need to make a significant decision. And I do feel like I've been able to do that through the course of my career. I feel confident that I'm a lot better today than I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 years ago. And I hope 5 years from now, I'm a lot better than I am sitting here today.
So that's Paul DePodesta with the Rockies. And I thought that you were very poignant on it before the show. You're like, well, are you going to be blaming him for things 4 years from now? And I go, no, I can't blame him for everything 4 years from now. But I do think that depending on how this all goes, like if Andrew Berry gets bumped up and there's more bad decisions that are made, well, again, do we really know what we're doing? Do we have the right people in place? Were you the right person in place? That's one of the things that I'm thinking of. And it crystallizes there in that one answer, which I see it, and it just goes like wildfire all over the internet with Browns fans, and everybody else had a different opinion. Whether it was a shot at Kevin, whether he was taking a shot at Kevin, whether he was taking a shot at the ownership. The people saying that answer there clearly shows he never wanted Deshaun Watson whatsoever. That answer there clearly shows he does want Deshaun Watson. Shots at the media that we were too hard on, and I'm like, Paul DePodesta doesn't know any of our names and doesn't pay attention to anything that we say, but it was quintessential. Nobody knows what you do, and it's just this great question mark, the decade you were here of. What do you, like, John Dorsey comes in, I know what John was responsible for. I know what other guys have been responsible for. I'm like, I don't know exactly. He's always left himself an out. It's never been, the 100 losses, because he was at the game against the Jets on Sunday. The 100 losses, you can't put that on me. See, you can put that on other people. It's maddening. It's because you yelled about accountability. Where's any accountability whatsoever? Like, that's another thing. Like, you were yelling about Kevin Stefanski. I guess I got to call you on the carpet here. Like, you don't have any ill will or any bothersome ill wills may be tough, but any bothersome feelings on that? Because, I mean, you yelled about accountability 2 days in a row.
Yeah, what specifically?
And how much accountability has been taken here over this decade?
On what, though, with Paul?
Yes, with Paul. With anything.
The problem with me is, and I must stress, because I went back, I put out all the rankings, we lived it. We were on the air every day. Nationally, you could not find really anybody that didn't think Deshaun Watson was either a slight upgrade over Baker to a massive upgrade over Baker.
That's fair.
So because of that, it was a big swing.
That is fair.
And it ended up being atrocious. But remember, Baker was on the way down. He hadn't bottomed out yet.
No.
He still had another year and a half of getting worse after he left the Browns. And nobody thought Deshaun Watson was anything other than it was definitely a franchise quarterback. Nobody thought he wasn't. And then the question was he elite? Was he top 5? And I could find plenty of respected national guys that thought that. So because of that, if he's saying I own that, but at the same time we were all in on that, I mean, I was in on it too. So should I be saying that decision costs everybody their job because it didn't turn out right? I mean, I guess I should. I guess that's fine, but they didn't. When you make a decision that strong, I think you go in knowing it might cost you your job.
Well,
that's true. That's true. But you got to remember, it was not a controversial decision outside of Cleveland. In Cleveland, it was controversial because Baker had built up this fan base.
Are you talking football-wise, or are you talking...
Yes.
Okay, because if you leave it to just football, then yeah, you're right.
Yes.
But everything else, there were plenty... I mean, there were people having... very big conversation. I mean, Kyle Brandt was as upset as anybody on NFL Network.
But nobody, again, didn't think. Everybody was aligned outside of Cleveland again, where we were not emotionally involved. They're like, oh yeah, but Deshaun's a much better quarterback than Baker at that time. And so because of that, it doesn't work out when decisions like that might make sense on paper don't end up going your way. Do you get fired for that? Is that something... that when you make a big swing, because they were in a Super Bowl window, we all agreed with that because of the talent they had to go all in. They pushed all the cards to the table. If they just would have kept Baker, I'm going to be adamant forever. I don't think they would have won the Super Bowl either with Baker. But you would have had more memories. You would have had more great moments. You might even at some point hosted a home playoff game. I don't know that for a fact.
I think you eventually
But
did.
You were still behind Josh Allen. You were still behind Patrick Mahomes. Burrow was just getting started. We didn't know he'd be injured.
I understand that. But again, I weigh it with everything else and all the other conversations, because I've said this to you many times. And I've said it to a lot of other people. Hell, I was having this conversation at wrestling. Well, I wasn't wrestling, but I was watching it at wrestling practice the other day. Conversations. I agree with you about Baker. I don't think that we'd be having conversation. I think our arguments about Baker would be: is he the guy to get us over Mahomes, Allen, et cetera, But those conversations, those arguments, and they'd be bitter right now. They would absolutely be bitter. But they're way better than the arguments we're having now.
Yeah.
They're way better than stories about $6 tickets and that hot dogs and Cokes and everything like that, or RC Colas are costing you more than the tickets themselves.
The conversations about, over the years, Phillip Rivers. It would have been, he's good, but he's not good enough.
And ultimately, that is a healthier conversation and a healthier argument to have than anything we've really had here over the last 4 years. And so I have to look at, and it is certainly revisionist where...
But do you want your teams to go all in or not? That's the thing I always come back to. People said they wanted to with Donovan Mitchell, even if it didn't match the windows of Darius Garland and Evan Mobley. Do we go all in on Donovan Mitchell?
So is this a lesson that we're learning here to never go all in?
Well, I'm asking because it's easier not to go all in. You can just not go all in ever and just assume everyone's going to get better every year. And then at the end of time, they don't. And then you're like, oh, man, well, at least we have those memories. But... do you want your teams to go all in or not? Paul DePodesta and the Browns,
how do you think I'm going to answer?
They took the biggest swing possible.
How do you think I'm going to answer?
Well, we know how it turned out, so I imagine you wouldn't want
I'll answer that in 5 minutes on The Fan, as well as credit to Tommy Rees and Jim Northeast Factor Direct at northeastfactordirect.com.
neighborhoods in every county across our state. With thousands of reviews, the numbers speak for themselves. This is just the beginning of our story. Hurt in a car? Call KNR.
Talk sports deep into the Cleveland night. Overtime with Jake Volnick. Weeknights at 7. Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
One hour from now, about last night, I think we might get into about the Cavs there. A terrible game last night for the Cavs. But then I thought Donovan Mitchell might have made it a little bit better. It might have made things a little bit easier to stomach. Lima goes, no dice, Ken. You got to hold their feet to the fire. I says, okay, we'll figure it out later on. You asked me the question about should teams go all in? Should this dissuade teams from going all in? I think this is a case-by-case thing, man. Like, you got to look at the person. You got to look at how the fans are going to react. I mean, when they went after Donovan Mitchell, I didn't think that there was any problem. Now, it's worked out so far for the Cavaliers, and we all have the benefit of revisionist history. But at the time, I'm like, man, this makes a lot of sense. He's the guy that's available. Now, there were some people who go, well, if you wait. And I go, well, you don't know if those guys are going to be available. This is the guy. Yeah, there's certain things that you wish he were 6'10". You wish that there were, but there's a lot of things that we wish. This is the guy that's available to make that trade, and this trade makes a lot of sense. It was time to infuse that leader. Donovan was that guy. If you have the chance to do it again in the future for the Browns, I'm not going to let Deshaun Watson scare me from making a big deal in the future. If there's a big deal to be made, like if we find ourselves on the other side where we're the Eagles in some alternate universe, and there is a defensive lineman who is a pass rusher who's really good, and it's like, hey, man, you might need to give it up for him, but how many chances are you going to have to win a championship? The window is now. Maybe you need to go after it. I'll have that discussion, and I'm not going to say, well, remember Deshaun Watson. He was a unique set of circumstances. From day one, when you and I knew in that October time period that they were kind of snooping around, you kind of danced around and brought it up, and I said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to have that conversation with the fans. I don't want to do it. I don't think he's that good.
Because of the Baker side of things or the Deshaun side of things?
Because of the Deshaun side of things. I thought.
But you were okay moving on from Baker.
I was okay. I was okay with the facts that we probably would have to move on from Baker, but my idea was I can't just get rid of this guy. I didn't think that they were just going to get rid of the guy. I figured we bring in another veteran and try to do it that way. Now, I'd have to go back and see some of the names that we talked about because I think
they were not names that could win a Super Bowl.
They weren't good names. They were not good names.
So you didn't think you're basically admitting you didn't think Baker. If you're saying that,
I still admit that.
Yeah, if you're saying that we were going to bring in just another Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo, like that's showing you didn't think much of Baker having a chance to take this team to the AFC Championship.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right about that.
So that's what it is. So that means the only way you can capitalize on that window is to take the big swing. Well, what quarterbacks are ever available? See, that's the thing. Like, Lamar Jackson wasn't really available when he was made available because they were just going to match whatever deal, even if you put in poison pills or whatever.
It seemed other teams just didn't want to do that. Like, I kind of think if we had never made a Deshaun Watson trade, like,
well, the
Browns would have definitely called about Lamar Jackson.
About the NFLPA and the NFL kind of covering all of
there
that
was
stuff.
There was something weird about the Lamar Jackson.
But I'm saying they would have matched
that out there.
But you couldn't get him, is what I'm saying. You could not physically go get. So
they probably wouldn't trade him in division.
They took the swing on the one guy that's been available in the last decade that was actually a franchise quarterback.
Yeah, so did 13 other teams or 12 other teams.
Yeah, they're the ones that connected, and it's been horrible for the franchise.
What a great connection we've had here. It's been just so great.
And now we don't say his name in public.
But I'm not going to let that. I mean, if we're talking about boogeymen, I'm not going to let that guy dissuade me from ever making a trade like that again. I mean, if I do, please correct me. If we're still doing this 10 years or 20 years from now, please correct me if I go, well, remember Deshaun Watson? Go, no, that's a totally different set of circumstances there. Totally. And plus, you got to remember, I really wasn't a big fan of him. I never really was a big fan. And you and I remember we had those arguments about him.
You weren't a fan of Watson when he was looking like one of the best quarterbacks in the league?
No, not really. I told you I didn't really want to trade for him. I remember those arguments.
I got him
because of his football play.
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't think he was that. I told you
he was awesome.
And I remember at the time getting beat up for it because I had said, 1, I don't think that he's as good as what people recognize. 2, if we're talking football, I didn't think that I thought that he was injury prone. 3, I remember bringing up the 2020 argument and you guys laughed in my face because I said, they're down in a lot of these games. They're not in, and there were, by the way, the evidence that was against me was good evidence. I was
the year they had the worst defense in the NFL and his offensive line stunk?
Yeah. And
Okay.
I go, well, if you're gonna be throwing the ball a whole lot.
So you don't think Burrow's good either?
I think Burrow's good, but I also think that Burrow's not worth 3 first-round picks because I think he's injured all the time now.
But you didn't think
really
that
good
before the injuries with Burrow?
No.
So I'm telling you, the profile, like I'm looking, the Sando quarterback tiers, his rookie year had him, after his rookie year had him 12th, then 5th, 7th, 11th. That's 4 years of elite to really good quarterback
yeah, but there's
play.
always going to be players that you yourself have been questioning guys and how good they are. And I'm not going to champions post because it came back to the Pack because I think there's extenuating circumstances on Deshaun Watson.
I think so.
Had he had never had to sit out, had never had the accusations against him, had he had ever done a deal where he didn't even want to go to the city that he signed a deal with, maybe things would be different. But those are 3 big different things there. But you know very well, I was never a big fan of the guy. Never was. I'm not trying to revise my own history here, pal.
But you also did not come on the air and say this is like the worst move ever when they got him.
No.
You just said you were uncomfortable with him because
but I also thought that he wasn't as good as what you guys had made him out to be. I did not think he was that great. I also know that hold on. Let me explain myself even further, because I know what I said at the time.
Because I was a part of these debates every day.
So then you should know very well that I had said at that time that I don't think that he's going to be worth it, but also I know that this is a very desperate team because of what they did in 16 and 17. That's why. So I could see why they were being so desperate for it. I was just hoping that it would work out. I didn't think it would be this bad. I didn't know if it would work out. I didn't think it would be this bad.
But I just know, like, today, because it doesn't work out, and in sports, when moves don't work out, you're right, guys are held accountable, and they lose their jobs. They haven't. We're all these years later. I was kind of on board with saying goodbye to everybody last year. But here we are in this season, and all I'm saying is I remember doing shows with you, and I don't remember a daily drumbeat every day of you saying, like, this is the worst move ever. You just didn't like the move, but you understood the football side of things of this move.
Well, yeah, he was available.
And again, people outside of Cleveland, they definitely understood, because we had national guys on all the time that were like, yeah, of course you move on from Baker.
No, I will full on admit, this was the best football option that they had at the time. It was the best football option. I did not feel good about him as a quarterback, and I've never felt good about him as a quarterback, and I really didn't have a whole lot of evidence to back it up, other than I always thought the other shoe was going to drop.
And it did. It definitely did. You were right.
Was I right, or was I don't want to say lucky, but was I in some sense lucky? There's just something, about certain QBs.
That is the part of this that people do. I wonder if they care, or they probably don't, just because they've lost so many games. This is an unprecedented drop-off for a quarterback. We've never seen anything like it. Even Michael Vick, who went away from football, that was the comparison we were using, he came back and he put it together and he had some nice seasons.
Yes, he did.
Is that ever happening for Deshaun Watson?
No, I don't believe so at all.
I don't either.
And I have nothing, because I can't go back on any evidence that I gave, because I remember it was a very frustrating time when it first got brought up, because I'm thinking, I just don't think he's going to be that good. And when it came to Lamar, man, like, you want to talk about Lamar's guys like, man, there's something about him. There's just something. I wouldn't take him at the top of the draft, but there's something about this guy, you could see him end up being good. And then when the Ravens traded back in and went and got him, like, I got nervous about it, and here he is crushing everybody years later. Like, there are sometimes you just have a gut feeling, but I can't sit there and argue gut feelings with you on the radio. I can't do that. So even though I'm like, oh yeah, great, I was right about Deshaun Watson, doesn't make me feel any better about anything, because I didn't really give any good evidence about it. I just had a bad gut feeling about it. And then with all the other things about it, I just didn't want to argue I didn't want to have the conversation with the fans, because, again, the allegations were greasy.
If someone could I would love to know what Ken Carman thought they were going to do in 2023. So that was
2023?
2023. Remember, 2022, he missed half he only played 6 games. Then we came back in 2023, and it was like, all right, here we go. It's Deshaun Watson.
Oh, I didn't think there was any chance he would be as bad as. And remember, in 2023,
I wonder what your win total was projected at that year.
I want to say 10, 11. Sounds about right.
So you couldn't have thought he was that bad.
No. But I just didn't think he was the guy to help us get over the hump and cash in and take us to a Super Bowl. I never did. I think that he's got talent.
You were right.
I don't think he's ever going to get that talent. Great. Again, that's the worst argument I've ever had that I ended up being right about. And I've had a lot of bad arguments that I ended up being really dead wrong about. Coming up at 8:20 this morning, Daryl Ryder going to join us on the show. Can I play some audio for you coming up next and decide whether or not it made Kevin look worse yesterday?
Yeah, sure.
Ken Carman, Anthony Lima. Let's hear from some coordinators coming up in 5 on the Fan.
Anthony Lima for Floors with a Z right now.
Pleaded not guilty. Status hearing for both is set for December 2nd. Get all the latest Browns content filtered right to your phone during the regular season by following the Browns playlist and 92.3 The Fan on the Odyssey app. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
All the Browns and NFL news you may have missed at work. The Afternoon Drive. Weekdays starting at 2. 92.3 The Fan.
Oh, apparently I'm going to get Champions posed here. Go right on ahead and do it. You better be damn careful. This is going to end badly for me.
What
It
do you
always
mean?
does. It always does. Champions
What do you
pose
mean?
it. Champions pose it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I don't want to make you upset.
Well, no, you do want to make me upset.
No,
You and the listeners
no,
want to make me upset.
we'll move on. We don't have
Hoffner
to.
here on Twitter sitting there going,
I guess if you just join
go
the
ahead.
show,
Walk into the lair.
we were giving Ken the opportunity to take victory laps because
And I didn't.
he said,
And I didn't.
Well,
I
but
did not
he
take
never,
a victory
you
lap.
never wanted Deshaun Watson.
I never wanted Deshaun
You didn't
Watson.
want the deal. You didn't think he was good. You thought he was injury
This all
prone. All
came
that
from
stuff.
Paul DePodesta's press conference. Thanks a lot, Paul.
And
This is the
then-
most content the guy's ever given us. Thanks.
And then it was brought to my attention, Kenny, from a
No,
listener.
he tweeted at me. He tweeted at me.
This is from A. Hefner, who says, this is revisionist history from Ken.
Social media reactions brought to you by Scheibin Jewelers, Cleveland's jewelry store, 703 in 10 seconds for those scoring at home.
The premier jewelry store.
He has a post from 2020, November 10th, that had Ken Carman asking what tier Baker is in. And then Ken offers up his own. And he has Patrick Mahomes, number 1. There's nothing controversial with that. He had Matt Ryan and Matt Stafford tied for in that 3rd tier. He had Herbert and Burrow in the 4th. He had Jameis Winston 5th. Remember, he's putting up all those big numbers. Number 2. Oh, and I can't see. I got to
Just
sweat.
shut up and just
Who does
give
he
the,
have
just,
number
just
2?
Give the rankings. Give the tiers.
Can you see
give
that
the
name?
Tiers.
Yeah,
They're
I'm
tiers.
looking at it here.
They're
Who's in the
tiers.
2nd tier there, right
Stop
behind
being an
Patrick
ass
Mahomes?
and just say it.
The one right after Patrick Mahomes, who he has number 1.
But
Okay,
ahead of
great.
future Hall of Famer Matt Stafford.
I'm sorry, and what year was this? Oh, yeah, well, everybody wanted to call him a Hall of Famer in 2020, right? When I said I made an argument for him to be a Hall of Famer in
trying to make
2020,
sure.
go back and listen to those interviews.
You
go
know
back
what?
and listen to those shows.
I closed
You're
out of the
talking
page. I
The
don't
Houston Texans quarterback at the time.
Oh, is that who he?
Yeah,
is
it
that
was
who he played for?
Deshaun Watson.
I just want to know. I want to know again. You know as well as anybody. What year is that from? That's from November
2020.
Of 2020, right? What's missing there? Oh, yeah, 2021. 2021. 2021. 2021. I obviously, yes, he was tier 2 to me in 2020. I'm going to sit there and deny 4,800 passing yards? Again, I could never, ever give you any evidence other than a gut feeling. So I had to be honest. I wasn't going to put him tier 1 because I didn't think he was tier 1. I could put him tier 2 because something here is working that I don't understand. fine.
But then the following
But don't
year,
act like we didn't argue the whole draft about Deshaun Watson, where I did not want to take Deshaun Watson, and then you were doing champions poses every single week when he would light up other teams in the AFC
the
South.
following year, you said you didn't believe in him as much. Mike Sando said in his poll to 50 executive scouts and coaches in the NFL, they had Deshaun Watson 5th overall.
Great.
So Ken had
Great.
supposedly lost all confidence in him, but
and
the
again,
NFL didn't.
Again, does it ever come down
The people
to
that work in the league
does it
do
ever
it for a
come
living.
You never disagree with people in the NFL?
No, I do all the time. I just thought that would have
Okay.
been an interesting time to disagree. Because he played amazing that year.
You don't remember having these arguments with me?
I don't remember you saying that he dropped off the face of the earth like you're saying now.
No, there's no dropping off the face of the earth. He didn't play. You can't drop off the face of the earth when you don't play.
Number 5. And then
He
9.
sat out.
Then the following year, 9.
He sat out.
So they still didn't have him
He sat
dropping
out.
off the face of the earth.
And again, I want to ask you.
So Ken must have seen something that everybody else in the league
I want to
didn't.
ask you and Hoffner, the exposer here. I want to ask you guys. Coming in hot's going to be fantastic at 9:45. By the way, I want to ask you: did I or did I not advocate to trade the 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson? Did I advocate to trade for Deshaun Watson? Because when we first started talking about it, it wasn't for 3 first-round picks. Did I ever? Did I ever? Let me hear you. Let me hear you say it.
No.
Let me hear. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But you admitted he was way better than Baker, and Baker gave him no shot to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he was in his own head. How am I supposed? 2021, they were having a rock concert in Pittsburgh, and then he sat out the next week.
I remember
and his
that.
teammates were mad at him.
I
That ain't
remember
no
that.
revisionist history. That's true. There were definitely teammates on that team that were like Hall of Fame caliber teammates going, "Oh, okay, so I'm going to play hurt, but you're not going to play hurt. Everything was you're supposed to be a teammate. Maybe it was just about your own money. Maybe it was just about your own contract instead of you being a leader of the team. We don't want to go back down that road. Yeah, you remember that. That's fine.
By the way, does it
That's
matter?
fine. I'm going to shoot.
Does
We're
it
gonna
matter
shoot.
at all how Baker finishes this year? Because people are starting to point out that his play has declined back to normal Baker over the last 4 weeks.
He is a good quarterback, and I think that if we're being honest with each other here, you're asking me a question. I think that he is a one and done type of quarterback. Now that doesn't mean that I'm bitter. I'm not trying to be bitter. Let me tell you this right now, again, for the 1,500th time. Arguing about whether or not Baker Mayfield could take us far enough in the AFC South, AFC North, in the AFC Championship games and through the AFC to the Super Bowl. Having that argument is way more fun than any one of the arguments that we've just had for the last umpteen years now, it seems, about Deshaun Watson and everything else around it. He's a good quarterback. He has overachieved. He's got great weapons. And by the way, it's only November 14th. The season is peaks and valleys. So before everybody goes, now Baker's coming back down there, let's see where the season goes. Let's see where the season goes for him. I'm not going after Baker fans. Continue to enjoy your Baker. And I'm not going to sit there and say that, the chickens are coming home to roost now. No. That's a good football team down there. I do think that they are a limited football team in so many ways because of their quarterback not being some of these other guys. That's fine. I think that's fair. You're not yelling at me. You're not yelling at me. Okay. Can I move on with the show now?
Yeah. Unless somebody else has you flip-flopping on a bunch of issues. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, I'm pretty busy in here right
So
now.
is it? So when I do it, it's revisionist history. When you do it, it's the benefit of new information.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got it. Thank God.
That's the way this works.
I don't even know what clip I want to play now because I threw the papers all over the place because I was angry. Stop laughing at me. It ain't funny.
You want to hear Tommy Reese or Jim Shorts?
I want to hear Tommy Reese. Here's Tom. No, is it Reese or Reese? Because when he was playing quarterback at Notre Dame, it was Reese.
Do you think it's Reese's Pieces or Reese's Pieces?
Least favorite of the Reese's type of candy.
Wow.
You want to do the power ranking? You go right on ahead, my friend.
I don't.
Okay, fine. Here's.
I don't.
Yeah!
Here we go!
Number 1, regular Reese's. Tried and true classic. Every now and then, you can tell they put a little bit too much of the chemical in it, and you can go, that's a little chemically. I don't know
People
about
have
that
been
one.
saying this about all candy lately. They're saying none of the candy tastes like the candy of yesteryear.
Yeah,
and I'm like, is that just old people being curmudgeon-y, or is that true?
Joke's on us. They got rid of the red dye. They added something else in there, bud, because I'm going, that don't taste very... There's more than just chocolate and peanut butter in this. But they're still great. Number 2,
Maha.
Fast Break. Fast Break.
Okay.
Number 3, Reese's Eggs.
I swear I was going to disagree with you. any shaped Reese's is number one. So the eggs, the trees,
the heart,
the pumpkin.
What do they do during Sweetest Day?
I don't care for the pumpkin.
They do a pierogi, I think, on Dingus Day. It's crazy.
You know, you make a joke about that. I bet they can make a lot of money
yes,
with one
they
shape
could.
that way. That'd be a fantastic Valentine's Day when you think about it.
The AVN Awards? That's what they should give away in the gift basket.
A hell of a lot of money, my friends. All right, here's Tommy Rees, not talking about Reese's. He's taking his weapon for calling a pass on 4th and 1.
Yeah, I should have run the ball. I don't want to get into the specifics of the play itself. You know, you can freeze almost any play, right, and say, hey, this guy's open, this guy's open. Great. I want to make sure I'm putting our players in the right spot. I made a call, an aggressive one. It didn't work, and we got to move on to the next.
Okay.
You like that, though?
Do you take the accountability?
Yeah, you like that. You like to hear that.
All right, here's Jim Schwartz now on the end-of-game mistakes.
We made 3 mistakes in that game. We get a holding penalty on 3rd and extra long, you know, when they're just trying to keep the clock running. And then we jump off sides, you know, cardinal sin in 4 minutes. Really embarrassing play for us. And the other one where, you know, we're aggressive to try to keep them out of field goal range. It's a tight game where we were behind the 8 ball early in the game. And, you know, we're trying to keep them out of field goal range. So you're aggressive and you're blitzing and they get one block and all of a sudden they can score a touchdown. Even though when you look at a lot of the, you know, stats and things like that, looks good. It wasn't enough for a win. And, you know, if we either make a play here or don't commit a penalty or just make a mistake, then, you know, maybe we give us a better chance to win that game.
Do they make Kevin Stefanski look worse or look bad or anything like that?
Because they're taking the real ownership over it. They're not just saying it's my bad and moving on, like we'll coach it better and moving on. Is that what you're kind of getting at? Because, you know, in the past, I will say, and I looked over at Owen before the show because you had asked this question, and I was like,
I don't really think so, but I'm gonna explain why here in a second.
I remember definitely there were years, and it's been 6 years now, where Kevin had no problem saying, yeah, I probably should have ran the ball. I should have probably given it to Nick Chubb. Like, I remember him saying that. This year, it's been different. It's been everything has just been, okay, what happened? You're asking me about it. Yep, I'll coach you better. Yep, that was bad. I'll coach you better. We need to coach you better. Like, I feel like in the past, he would go into detail, and he's not doing that anymore. Like, he's just trying to get to the end of all these question and answer sessions.
Yes. Well, he likes to say, I respect the question now.
Yeah. Yeah. Because he doesn't want to seem like he's being mean and blowing it off.
Daryl, I understand the question, and then he just kind of says something else to get through it. Because he's answering questions he shouldn't have to answer a lot of the times. And then there's a lot of things that I think he has dug his heels in. And maybe you will reach a time where I don't think you ever will. I just don't think he's ever going to go scorched earth on anything. I think that this is what it is. But Tommy Rees, it's easier for Tommy Rees to take responsibility. And it's like, okay, now correct it in the future. But again, if it works, it works. We don't say anything. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm sure he looks and goes, I should have just ran the ball. What am I doing? I got a quarterback back there that's running for his life. Should have just ran the ball with Quinshon Judkins, which sometimes the most obvious answer is the right answer. Yeah, for Jim Schwartz is right. Now, I don't think that anybody was cutting Cam Thomas over it, which upset you. And I can understand why they didn't.
I guess they did cut special teams guys that I had never heard of. And one of them came back to the practice squad this week.
Kadarius Toney, are you talking about?
This week they had kind of cut people nobody had ever heard about.
But is that a roster decision or a mistake decision? That's probably just a roster decision. But I think what they're doing is, like, you see a guy like Jim Schwartz. Jim Schwartz carries gravitas. Tommy Rees is an up-and-comer, and they're able to take the responsibility that Kevin doesn't want to put on them. I mean, Kevin's asked these questions, and he just does not answer them. Then 5 days later, as Owen pointed out, like, these guys got the benefit of answering these things 5 days later. And they can go ahead and go, yeah, you know what, that was the wrong call. But if Kevin says that's the wrong call, then why did you give up play calling if you're saying that that's the wrong call? If Kevin says that about the bad play, now, Jim, are you teaching these guys the right way? You have these guys who are really excited, but now you have these guys making mistakes. Are you or are you not paying attention to the things that you need to pay attention to? But Jim Schwartz is a big boy, and Jim Schwartz is a hell of a football coach, and Jim Schwartz can go ahead and answer it on his own right. But Kevin, Kevin's going to take the slings and arrows of us when he goes, we got to just be better, we got to coach better, and we will be better. And that makes you sick to your stomach to hear that, but that's the truth of the matter. Coming up at 8:20, Daryl Ryder going to join us on the show. Could Daryl talk me into this guy playing quarterback for the Browns next year? Because if that's the case, I'd rather just play with 10. And you're not going to believe it. You can see the real Browns on Sunday. Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, and how low can they go? Coming up at 7:21 on The Fan.
It's Anthony Lima for
place in the voting. Meanwhile, the Guardians third baseman named first team All-MLB at third base for the second straight year. Can now find 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and get the best content from our shows each and every weekday. That's 92.3 The Fan on YouTube. Headline sports news every 20 minutes right here on 92.3 The Fan. From the University Hospital Sports Desk, I'm Jeff Thomas.
Kenny, are you aware we're hitting the road?
I am excited. We are hitting the road. Please be there next Friday.
Please. All
I'm begging
new
you.
Bomber Sports Cards located 203 East Royalton Road in Broadview Heights. We are going to be there benefiting shoes and clothes for kids, and we want you to be a part of this very special event from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. for a special edition of the Emerging Podcast Scene presented by Extend Technologies. Come out and meet 93 The Fan and enjoy lunch from Donato's. Food will be provided.
I get to eat pizza?
Yes, indeed. Admission completely free, and shoes and clothes for kids will be on site, and this is important, and this is the whole point. You guys, if you're going to come out and say hi to us, you've got to bring in new socks and donations for those in need. 92.3 The Fan, Shoes and Clothes for Kids event with Ken Carman, Anthony Lima, Friday, November 21st. Bomber Sports Cards in Broadview Heights. Oh, and you coming?
I'll be there.
Yes. He's coming for the Donatos.
God, I love it. I absolutely love
it.
A
lot of pepperoni on those.
Always looking for Donatos.
My buddy's older brother worked at Donatos growing up. It was awesome. Then we used to have it at baseball signups. We used to do baseball signups every year. Back in the day, you had to show up. We had a Saturday in February, and we'd all go to Pifer Middle School. And my dad was the vice president of the Baseball Association, and my buddy's dad was the president of the Baseball Association. And all you did, you were a gopher for all the volunteers. The board would sign people up, and people would show up all day. And we would play basketball at Pifer's Middle School's gym, and we would run around. And then I had to go get coffee. I had to go get coffee from Mr. Sheets. I remember that. And then I used to have to go take the papers with the checks and staple the checks to the papers and put them in the right spot. So softball, 8-year-old softball, put that in the manila folder and all that stuff. And then they would bring pizza, and oh my God, you would just gorge yourself on Donato's pizza. It was amazing.
Well, it'll be there at that event, and again, you've got to bring stuff. It is a charity event, and we'll be doing some sports jawboning, of course. Bomber Sports Cards in Broadview Heights.
And Mr. Throckmorton used to let us check out the boiler room and go check out the boilers and all the thing. It was awesome.
Can't wait for it.
I hate to sound like a sicko, but this is great.
More on that coming up at around 8 o'clock. 216-474-0092. The hell was I? Oh, yeah. I think it might be time for a market watch, by the way.
Oh, no.
I think it might be time for a market watch. This is, folks.
My mission is simple: to make you money. I'm here to level the playing field for all investors. There's always a bull market somewhere, and I promise to help you find it. Mad Money starts now.
I think we're having a market crash right now. Lima, you might end up being like the Herbert Hoover here. This is not good. Please go ahead and give the latest market prices here.
Yeah, so I got two different sites up and running, and they've got fees included. So if I take out the fees and I look at the cheapest get-in price, one site I have it $11. The others I have it $9. People have sent us another site that say it's down to $6 to go to a Browns game in the middle of November.
Do you go for the story then? Do you go for the story? $6 ticket
to the 4th Browns home game of the season.
Oh, my God. Against Lamar Jackson. Somebody said this. They're like, Myles Garrett, Lamar Jackson. And that is a game that it counts. It counts in the standings. It's not a preseason. It's not a scrimmage. It's not any of that. It's not joint practice. $6. That's unbelievable. Is that basically telling you it's a boycott? I know a lot of people are saying boycott. What was it? Aqib Talib saying boycott until Shador plays. Are they already doing it? Is that what this is?
Yeah, they've been. Aqib, you can play that audio if you want, but Aqib Talib doesn't realize they've been doing that for years.
Normally it's December. It's not the 5th home game of the year.
It could be for Shador. I mean, I remember the guys who tried to organize a walkout a few years ago. Here's Aqib Talib, and this is on his podcast.
The Arena Gridiron. I don't know whose that is.
Away they go.
I think the Cleveland fan base should just boycott at this point. We ain't buying no tickets.
But not everybody feels the same way as you guys.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't.
Yeah, they
Yes,
do.
they
The fan base does.
The fan base does. Boycott the whole say we ain't coming unless Shador in. The game will be blacked out locally. And sometimes you got to force your hand. Cleveland Brown fan. Force your hand, man.
Just what are your expectations when he does come in, though?
We don't know.
460 yards.
But what we do know, our quarterback is not going to look like a little scared little baby. That's what Gabriel look like right now. I guarantee you it don't look like that. What's the worst that can happen? It look the same?
What's your realistic expectations?
Our realistic expectations is to see everything we got on our roster so we can know if we need to draft a quarterback in the first round or not. You might have one in your building right now. We gave him 5-6 games. Let's give him 5-6 games and find out. If he's not the guy, you a 5th round pick, we don't owe you could be gone.
It could be way worse. What's he saying? This guy.
Well, he says he's not going to play scared like we've seen Dylan Gabriel.
Okay, but and that might be fine. First off, go ahead and he might not be a little baby because he's over 6 feet tall. What Aqib Talib is saying here, but it could be far worse, and he could look scared. Look at the offensive line play.
The last time we saw
look at
him,
the offense.
He did kind of look like
he could look scared. He could absolutely look scared. And it could be way worse because I believe Shador has a much higher ceiling than Dylan Gabriel. I would feel, God, if he went out there, I cannot tell you, it would be worse than Johnny. It'd be worse than Johnny. Because when Johnny went out there against Cincinnati and he turned around on play action and there were 14 guys looking at him the way he fought, I felt bad, but it didn't hurt as bad because I knew that Johnny didn't do anything to make himself better. No, but he didn't do anything to make himself better. He didn't bother. I think Shador is bothering to make himself better. I can see it with my very own eyes. I can't get into vivid details with you or anything because some of that is behind a curtain. But I will tell you that I know that he is working as hard as he can. And I don't know if he's got the offense yet, but he'll get his time. But I can absolutely feel worse about this. I think the fan base in some ways are split. I think that there are plenty of people who are dropping in who are not Browns fans, but they're Shador fans, and maybe that he's getting that confused with. I don't know if Aqib Talib has ever been here except for just to play against the Cleveland Browns, and that's it. So I don't think that he knows about the Cleveland Browns fan base. I think that there is a bit of a split there, but I also think that there's a lot of people who at least have some curiosity, even if they don't like it, they want to see him.
By the way,
but it can be worse. I can feel way worse about this than I can about Dylan
Gabriel. It'll feel even more. At least
Yes.
with Shador, there's a feeling of we haven't seen him yet, so he dazzled in college. He put up all these amazing numbers. And he's accurate, right? That's the one thing we know about him above all else.
Yes.
He is really accurate.
Yes.
So there's hope. If he comes out there and looks like he doesn't belong, then it's like, what was the point of this year? They really took these guys and then they made sure to greenlight them earlier than most other teams would have. They overdrafted one. The other they took after him. By the way, the blackout thing, I'm old enough to remember. Kenny, you were probably a little too young. Do you remember the blackouts?
I remember the threats of blackouts. I don't remember blackouts. I'm too young.
The Browns were good, and they weren't selling out the stadium because there were so many seats. And for whatever other reason, it is weird to me. They were going to AFC Championship games, but I remember we had to go to the bar that had antennas and satellite dishes to watch the Browns games with my parents. And like, I guess we'll go back to the bar. I guess we'll bring our kid to the bar and neglect him for 3 hours. I guess.
And what's wrong with that? What's wrong with going to the bar and being neglected?
That was a weird time in the NFL. Can you imagine your home games being blacked out?
That was a different time in America in general. So I think you're 45?
Yeah, 44.
Okay. For only 44? Oh, that's right. There's a lot of guys a certain age in that age group. It's unthinkable now. But like you would just go in there and like you'd be with your grandfather or your dad and you go, he'll have a Coke.
Yep.
And then they're just drinking and you just drank your Coke.
So I can't do that with Mason.
Or your pretzels.
I can't do that with Mason.
No, they frown upon that now in society. I had a buddy whose grandfather left him in the car. At least we got to go in. I got to go in with Grandpa. It's like the only good memory I had of the bastard.
Going to the bars.
On my dad's side was a great guy. On my mom's side, that's a different story. Darryl Ryder joins us at 8:20 this morning. We're moving on from that memory. $6 tickets. I mean, they're telling you right now. Like, if this continues, I don't know how they get to winning. I don't know how they do that, but that's like the only thing that could save them. They're telling you. I mean, at this moment, I don't know how you run it back. I know that we've kind of bandied about, well, they can make Andrew Berry the team president and they could bring up somebody or they can bring in somebody and they can bring back Kevin, and I know Dan Orlovsky's scaring the bejesus out of everybody, or trying to scare the bejesus out of everybody that, well, he could go and he could be a head coach with the Giants, and then you got to sit there and watch him dominate the East for so. Guys, I understand that, but man, you got $6 tickets out there, and it's not even Thanksgiving yet. That is a sobering thought. That is sobering. And the only thing that gets this thing going again is wins. And I'm telling you, after a loss to the Jets, like, my argument has been, you've been blown out 4 times this year. Keith will argue with us 5. I'll give him 4. You've been blown out of your 7 losses. You've been blown out in 4 of them. I didn't think they gave up in those games. And that's where I put it on Andrew Berry going, your team ain't good. You got some good young talent, but it ain't enough. Your team ain't good. So that's it. That's an Andrew Berry problem as well. Sunday could be that day. Sunday could be that day where you start to see some jogging. You lose to the Jets like that when they just made those trades, and a lot of people are just thinking it's a win. And I think they had planned. I think that they had planned for a win, not even as a players, but as a franchise. Just like, hey, we're going to be 3-6 now. We'll see where it goes. And for that to go down that way, and for them to give up 2 special teams touchdowns, which was terrible, but to not really have the offense that can punch forward and go get that win, I'm afraid that could break the franchise, or at least break the roster, to where, yeah, now you might see some jogging. Now you might see some questionable things. Like, there could be some guys go back on tape on the internet later on Sunday night and go, what's this effort here? What's that effort there? I'm nervous about that.
I am too.
Because if you go out and you get blown out like that and guys are starting to jog around like that, that is where...
There's too many games left.
When I say the real Browns, that's where that comes out. That's old-style Browns, and that really puts Kevin's job in jeopardy.
Well, I think that gets everybody fired. I got to be honest. But I will... Nobody cares because they're losing. I've not seen it either. Like, yeah, there's individual games and moments in the fourth quarter where guys will give up. But if it is a from coast to coast game like that, where at home you're allowing that and you don't even show like you're competing. Now, the thing is, they do have so many young guys that's hard for me to see that would happen. And your older guys, like on the offensive line, could you ever see Joel Bitonio or Wyatt Teller quit? I just don't feel like that's in their DNA. So, I'm kind of narrowing it down. Like, who's left? Who's left? You've got quit John Judkins. I don't see him quitting. Carson Schwessinger, he had no reason to play that last game. No reason. He should have sat out like 2 or 3 weeks with that injury, with that ankle. And he came back and played and still made big plays. So, who are the quitters on that team? But you're right. On losing teams, guys eventually do it. It doesn't normally happen on the middle of November.
Yeah.
That's fairly early.
But that's
and at home.
Guys will start making business decisions. And like, if you beat the Jets, hey, you're 3-6. That's not great. That is not great. It's still not good. I don't think that it changes a lot of people's opinions on the overall thought of the team. But it's like, all right, you beat a team that you're supposed to be better than. You beat a team that's a mess right now. And it's like, well, no, now you're the bigger mess. And so I think guys could start walking around. I'm nervous for the fallout on Monday for that. Because that's when I think, and some people go, great, it should happen, let it happen, fine. But I think you're gearing up for 2 months of people just thinking that you're an out-and-out disaster, and every firing that happens afterwards, they're going to bump you down a peg. Like right now, I think that if the Giants opening is there, then Tennessee, because I think that there's things that you can do. But I think maybe some people would disagree and say, Cam Ward, we haven't seen the best. Okay, fine, fair. But if you were to open that up, we're talking about interims. We're talking about then hopefully Shedeur getting to play. And you take away the head coach, you have Tommy Rees in there. Now I have more instability, and I know everybody can't stand Kevin right now, but you have even more instability at the coaching spot for your young quarterback, and I'm going, how is this guy ever going to get a chance to be successful in 2025? Talking about Shedeur. Like, as much as you guys want change, I still want some stability for it because I want to see Shedeur under a stable circumstance. And on Sunday, man, that's a team that's hot. That's a team that's been driven here over the last 3 weeks. And that kind of startles me for what could possibly come if guys start to walk around. By the way, did you know Aqib Talib was born in Cleveland?
No.
Someone corrected me. It's like, he's born here, he ain't from here. It's like, wow. So he has spent more time in Cleveland than just playing the Browns. I take that back. 216-474-0092. Andy in Parma, you're real quick. Got to go. You're on the Fan. Go.
Yeah, at this point in the season, is it wrong to hope they give up 50 when you have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson on your fantasy team?
Yes, it's treason to hope that they win.
Wait
they
a
score
second,
50.
but his fantasy team is still in the thick of things. The Browns are not.
I'm tied for second out of 10, so yes, I am.
How much money's on the line?
150 to win.
That's nothing. That's
I'm
nothing.
poor from Parma, man. 150 buys me some stuff.
Andy, I know guys that have been doing it for 20-something years, and they're $1,000 to get in.
What was your get in, Andy?
25.
All right. The responsible fantasy league.
Breaking money to my work, so yeah, that's a plus.
You need to do the way that I do it, and thank you very much for the call, Andy. Some people will root against them because they want to hire. I don't play fantasy football. Lyman doesn't either. Some people root against them so they can get better draft spot. I look at it and go, hey, if you lose, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think it's the same thing for a guy like Andy. At least your fantasy team would do well. But by the way, Derrick Henry's never played very well. He's had a couple of big plays, obviously. You remember that.
We've been able to bottle him
very
up
well against
in a way that most teams have not, and this is spanning like 5 years.
So if you were Andy, would you take away that? We're talking fantasy football. Would you ever take away your starting running back, Derrick Henry, because he's not got a good history against the Browns?
I think that's part of what's watered down a lot of the stuff for fans in the NFL, because there's so much. The numbers are so big because of fantasy and gambling that I do think they're Browns people in the stands every week going, oh man, darn it, Derrick Henry, 75 yards touchdown. Oh, darn it. Like, I think it's a way to hedge. It's a way to not have all your full emotions be robbed by a football team.
216-474-0092. Coming up next, Lima and I got in a huge fight over what I think we're going to get into in about last night. It has nothing to do with the Cleveland Browns, by the way. I hate to tell you. Are you ready for a knockdown drag out during about last night? It's coming up in 5 minutes on the Fan. Tom Merriman and
the Cleveland Browns, Sports Radio 92.3 The Fan.
So much can happen around the globe that we never hear of.
Embarrassing. We got to be better on defense.
It won't matter till April. I think we know that. Y'all gonna write us off. We could go 82-0, no one would care.
He's a piece of crap. The kid, he sucks. He's sucked his whole career.
I got rumors about him. He couldn't please his wife, and so now he's divorced.
Put a damn winning team on the field.
Now, the Ken Carman Show with Anthony Lima give their thoughts on what you might have missed about last night.
Well, last night was a tough one over at the Fieldhouse. The Cavaliers lose to the Raptors 126-113 in a game described by this show as quote-unquote garbage. And I think Kenny Atkinson would agree with you guys. Now, Kenny Atkinson talked during the postgame yesterday, also had an update regarding Cavs starting point guard Darius Garland.
I'd say day-to-day. I know I think he got on the court some and shot some, but day-to-day.
Not going to lie, a lot of the issues last night probably Garland couldn't fix.
It's an arena now, not a field house.
That's right.
Got your ass.
I mean, just a tough break for the Cavs last night, especially. And Garland, we don't really know anything much.
Tough break. They just didn't play hard.
It wasn't a tough break.
Evan Mobley didn't show up. I did say...
Tough break was like the Browns game against the Bengals in week 1.
I know
that was a tough break. Against the Heat, yeah.
I know we're on an all-time heater for this show, and one member of the show calling for guys to get cut or benched or fired. That is a staple of sports talk radio in today's day and age, and this show does not traffic in that very often. With that said, I would have benched Mobley last night. He showed no effort. I've seen some cut-ups of him on defense. Like, that guy is the reigning defensive player of the year. He wasn't looking for anybody to put a body into. He was falling asleep at the wheel defensively. And then offensively, what was that? 7 shots? While Scotty Barnes is working you on both ends? That was not pretty.
2 of 7. Yeah, 2 of 7 from the field.
Leave him out there.
Like, how do you
let him be embarrassed. Let him be embarrassed. Let him have guys like you call him out.
And furthermore,
people yell at me for me not calling him out and saying I need to call him out.
Furthermore, you guys realize they rested him in that second Miami game. He didn't play. So where was all? They needed his energy tonight, knowing that there was no Garland, knowing there was no Tyson, knowing no Lonzo Ball in this game, second night of a back-to-back. Like, because of all that, that's the point of resting Evan, which was still curious last game. But, like, all right, fine. At least he'll be motivated, energized against Toronto. And he looked like he didn't want to be there. And that's very curious. That's very confusing to me because that's not his DNA. That makes no sense. You can talk about Evan and his lack of toughness or whatever, but the guy's still a dominant defensive player who does not give up on plays. That whole game, it looked like he was not engaged on either end. Anybody get a chance to ask him after the game, like what that was? Because that did not look like any game I've ever seen Evan Mobley play.
We're going to talk about this at 8 o'clock a little bit more.
He did not have an MVP performance, you were saying. Speaking of MVPs, we had last night, we had baseball, we had both of them.
What was that? What was that?
What?
What was that?
I could have worded it better, yeah, but that was my transition.
What? I love you. Continue.
We had the MVPs for baseball revealed last night.
Yes, we did.
Yes. The other one, National League, fourth one for Shohei Ohtani. Who cares? Second all time to Barry Bonds. The AL American League one, though, in a close vote, Aaron Judge getting his third MVP honor over the 60-homer man in Cal Raleigh. How do you guys feel about Judge taking the honor?
Cal Raleigh was robbed.
I defer to the numbers on these things because baseball people have kind of beaten that out of me by now. It's not about feelings. It's not about emotions. It's just look at the numbers. Paul DePodesta would just have me look at the numbers. WAR.
Now you make a really good joke, too.
WAR.
Hilarious, man.
WAR. He gets the edge. Hits. He gets the edge. Batting average. Massive edge. On-base percentage. Massive edge. Slugging. Massive edge. OPS. Massive edge. OPS plus massive edge. Like, he has the numbers. Like, it's not even close, right? So why is this so surprising?
Do you believe that the Yankees could make the playoffs without Aaron Judge?
Probably not. No.
You don't believe so?
Not this year.
Oh, I think they could.
How many games?
I think they still could. You don't think so? Giancarlo Stanton didn't play many games.
Baseball is so different. Like, the reason the quarterback wins the MVP every year in football is because the quarterback sets...
Show me your side-by-side again. You looked it up.
Sets everything up, and you're responsible for so much. You're even responsible in some ways on whether your defense is being.
He's still letting home runs,
out there to
RBI,
dry.
stolen bases barely enough. I mean, you brought up batting average. Nobody looks at batting average anymore. OPS, he still leads him in OPS. Aaron Judge leads him in OPS.
But
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you on that part of it.
But shouldn't you look at batting average when it's 331 to 247 and everything else you're winning?
I mean, not necessarily. Again, if you're a bopper.
What about WAR? Isn't that the most important number in baseball?
It depends on who's looking at it.
9.7 to 7.4. Like that's the thing about baseball is it's supposed to be independent of the team. Like that's why just having Mike Trout doesn't get you into the playoffs every year, or even having Shohei and Mike Trout doesn't get you into the playoffs. You can still have amazingly electrifying seasons and not really contribute to your team winning a bunch of games.
Fun fact, both Babe Ruth and Kyle Raleigh hit 60 home runs in a season and did not win Most Valuable Player.
I didn't like Ruth that year either.
Lou Gehrig.
Yeah, I was a Gehrig guy.
Yep. So Aaron Judge is basically Lou Gehrig.
You would think I'm definitely a Babe Ruth guy. Boozing and whatnot.
You're a Baby Ruth guy.
Finally, here we had last night's.
I don't like that candy bar. Why's that funny? I don't even like that candy bar.
Does
that also taste weird now?
It's like when people
delightful food item.
It's like when people do Twinkie jokes like candy. I'm like, I don't even like Twinkies. Come on, listen to the show. Understand me.
Lay off me, I'm starving.
I bothered to learn about you guys.
Who are you?
It's not a good fat joke. I enjoy good fat jokes.
You guys asleep on our Reese's sticks, by the way.
Go ahead.
Finally, we had here last night Patriots-Jets game. Patriots win. Drake May getting some MVP chance on Amazon's postgame show.
I mean, you heard it from the fans up here, and rightfully so. MVP chance. You hear it. How does that feel? I mean, being in your second year, are you where you at